This broadcast, telecast, podcast, and whatever the hell else it is copyrighted by the Rad Network and the Rob and Steve Sports Show, all found at theradnetwork.com, and is for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of this madness without the express permission of the Rad Network and Williams Broadcasting and Rob's Really Mean Lawyers is prohibited. So just don't do it.
It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
The ball is still loose as they get it to Rodgers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. All the band is out on the field. We don't know who won the game. Everybody's milling around on the field. The Bears have won. The Bears have won. Oh, my God. California has won the big game over Stanford.
Welcome to 2 hours of sports and nothing but sports.
Past 2 weeks, you've been reading about a bad rag. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Email the show, ras@theradnetwork.com.
For tonight's ceremonial first pitch. And please welcome the President of the United States.
And now, the Rad Network presents the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
Well, I'm not sure this is great news, but I don't know what to believe anymore. We've been talking about, at the risk of being overly repetitive, we've been talking about the NFL, and they're getting really aggressive with their negotiations with the refs and the ref union. They've already said, I've already got a bunch of refs coming in from college. We're going to train them. We're going to pay them guaranteed money. The headline we just got was Jerry Jones joins the NFL's talks with the NFL Referees Association. I don't know, Steve. He's a hell of a businessman. I'm not sure if that's good or bad for getting a resolution, and I'm not even sure how invested I am in a resolution with the NFL refs. It's not like baseball next year.
I think the NFL refs need a little positive, media here. I'm not sure if they made a lot of progress, but they said today's talks were positive, moving in the right direction, and I believe I saw in the article that we will see if ongoing talks will continue.
Well, then how could they have been positive? And we're getting all of this, like the meetings, I guess, just broke up minutes ago or ended. I don't want to say broke up. And I saw the same thing. Oh, they were productive was the word I used. Well, right. Well, then how are we not sure if there's going to be future? If they were productive, then of course the last thing you do, it's like having a good first date. So when would you like to get together again? Or would you like to see me again? Like, why that makes, and the other thing that makes no sense to me is that the NFL, the current labor deal between the NFL and the NFL refs runs through May 31st, but the league has made noise about they want the deal done by May 1st. So what's the real deadline? I mean, the real deadline would be May 31st, but the NFL is saying, well, if we don't have a deal by May 1st, we're moving on. But technically, I guess what the NFL could say is, if it's not done by May 1st, we're done talking.
And that's what I think will happen. They need to see substantial progress in the discussions towards reaching that agreement by May 1st, as long as we think we can reach that deal. But if they're still at a stalemate, not really talking by May 1st, if I'm the NFL, I'm like, okay, look, because it's going to take a couple more months here. We cannot wait. We're just going to move forward with this plan.
And forgive us if you're not completely up to speed. Obviously, a lot of people can't listen every day. They don't listen all the time. And a lot of you are still finding the Rob and Steve Show is back, and you can go to theradnetwork.com anytime and find us and watch us on YouTube. All the ways you can hear and see us are at theradnetwork.com. And thank you all for finding us and listening. We're getting more and more emails. We love to interact with you. I've got a few coming up here. The long story short of what I alluded to is there's a baseball strike coming in 2027, or a lockout. Sorry, we'll talk about that as we need to. The NFL is in negotiations with the refs. Their deal is up, and we're all wondering, what is this really about? Is it money or is it technology? Either way, the NFL's gone out and they're getting replacement refs ready to go, but they're also reassuring a lot of us saying, don't worry, we got technology to help the replacement refs. And is that what's really bothering the current refs? And all of this is on the fly. I mention often, this is one of the things Steve and I love about the time slot, is because it's it's early in the afternoon on the East Coast when we start, late in the afternoon when we finish. We get a lot of news as it breaks, and we do our best to keep up with it. And nothing would be more indicative of that than trying to keep up with the Masters, which, on one hand, it's like, well, if you really care about the Masters, why aren't you watching it? That's not really how it works. It's like I'll watch, and I'm a huge golf fan. I love watching golf, and I love the majors, but I won't really watch until a little bit tomorrow, Saturday, but a lot of it on Sunday when it gets down to it. Maybe it's because I've watched so much golf in my life. I don't know. But so when they wrapped up yesterday, it was Rory McIlroy and Sam Burns. They were at the top at 5 under. 15 minutes ago, McIlroy had just teed off, and Sam Burns was through 4 and was still 5 under, but he's fallen down to 4 under, and he's no longer on the board. And this is the thing, when you're only talking about 5 under, anybody who was even or 1 under, you make a move today, and a move can just be 3 shots. You're right back in it. This guy, Terrell, what the hell is his name? Hatton? I mean, I watch golf. I don't even know who this guy is. Terrell Hatton, I think he is. He's gone 7 under today, and he is now at 5 under. He's at 5 under with Rory at the top of the leaderboard. This is how quickly these things can move. Some of these are not current. I will tell you that. Wyndham Clark, in other words, they're from 15 minutes ago. Wyndham Clark is in at 4 under. He's completed his 2nd round. Justin Rose, he's a guy I've had my eyes on. I mean, Justin Rose is he's a perennial winner. He's older as these things go, but he's been winning. He's been showing a lot lately. Looks like he is through 14 and he's 4 under. So he's one back. Brooks Koepka, remember the guy who can't win anything except majors? Got hurt. He's back. He's at 3 under. The thing about today is going to be who won't be around for the weekend. We have a couple updates on that. Now, one of them isn't really about him not being around for the weekend, but we talked yesterday about the Masters. They're very buttoned up, very conservative. You can't call them spectators. They're patrons. It's not the rough. It's the first cut or the second cut. And we led into the story yesterday about Mark Calcavecchia, a major winner, won the U.S. Open, who wasn't even participating, but he was on his cell phone, and they threw him out. No cell phones, no laptops, no iPad, including the media. Oh, you have something you want to report? Well, you better figure out another way to do it because you can't do it that way. So Scotland's Robert McIntyre is waiting to see his fate after yesterday he was... Look, golfers are human. They're like us. I don't know about you, Steve. I say some pretty awful things on the golf course, usually at myself. And I've been known to do what Robert McIntyre did, which is, well, first of all, he made a quadruple bogey. For you and I, that's nothing. It's like, yeah. Like, if you and I get off the golf course and we didn't make a quadruple bogey, we're like, yeah, good day. And you were just talking yesterday or the day before about the thing about golfer guys like us is it's that one shot. So, like, I'm used to, back in my heyday, which was way too long ago, I was used to mid-80s, shooting in the mid-80s. Handicap system in golf is stupid. Now I'm happy if I break 100, okay? But if I go out and I shoot 105, if I have that one shot where I put it 2 inches from the pin and everything was perfect, it was great contact, great, that's all I need, right? I'm coming back again tomorrow morning, boys, just like we planned. That's all it takes for us. Oh, such a great feeling.
Yeah, my golf these days, I'm really not playing much golf, but at my best when I was playing weekly, I got to mid 80s, right in that range, 85 to 88, so mid to upper 80s. Now, my goal is don't lose a golf ball, stay healthy, don't get hurt, and just have fun. I don't even keep score anymore. It's just hit the ball. Just hit enough good shots to keep me entertained. Don't lose any golf balls. That's the part that I hate the most about golf is, quadruple bogey. Yeah, those happen all the time. I just don't want to lose my golf balls.
Well, see, okay, finally you made it plural. You said don't lose a golf ball. I'm thinking I don't want to lose more than a sleeve these days, because it just, that's where the game is at. But there, I mean, I don't play a lot right now for a variety of reasons, and I hope to get back to it. Probably not until next spring. But I can remember. There are still a few shots that I remember now from years ago. Depending on where I'm sitting and how the camera is formulated, I do actually have behind me my hole in one. Where is it? Okay, I did get a hole in one. It's 20 years ago. The best part of that story, nobody saw it. It was a downhill shot, and the pin was up. It was a great shot. We all knew that. It was at the Ridge in Auburn, California, and that's all we knew. So we get up to the green, and everybody can spot their ball. There's three balls, and everybody goes and they identify there. So and the way mine was hit, we and the pin was up. We're like, well, we all assumed I was short, maybe of the green, and so we start looking around, and the particular hole was it 14? Is it 14? Let me look here. It's either 14 or 15. I think it's 14th. Whatever the par three is on the Ridge, you all know it if you played there, if you ever played there. Um, there's a ton of trouble over, but I hit it like at it, and finally somebody walked by the hole and said, "Pick up your effing ball," and I'm like, ah. So the hole in one, nobody saw it. I can't remember that one, but there's other shots you remember. But the other side is the more common quadruple bogey. Not common for Robert McIntyre or any pro. So he was on the 15th green and he got so angry that he flipped off the green. I mean, he gave it full middle finger as he finished. He eventually finished with a 9. That's the quadruple bogey. He finished at 8 over with an 80. And Masters organizers are expected to take a dim view of the behavior. McIntyre could face further trouble. He's not going to be around for the weekend after shooting. And I'm told that he later, I think he, did you hear, Steve? Because I thought I heard something that, oh yeah, there it is. He, on the 17th, a couple holes later, he slammed his club into the ground after his second shot, and he was also caught on mic swearing on the 12th and the 13th. So he had a bad day. He was angry yesterday.
He was just playing fellas golf. This is the way we play. He's
Right.
just letting us see how we feel. And I don't watch much golf, but the thing I do when I do watch it is I just look for what I call the fellas shots. Hey, I do that into the woods, into the bunkers, just into the water. It's like it makes me feel better because the pros are doing it as well.
It's nice to be able to go, oh, they can do that too. But and then what's really the on the other side are the things they do that you're like, I don't think I could ever do that. Like I can envision it. I could hook it around that tree, but I wouldn't. And that's the really amazing part of it. And while we were on yesterday, speaking of doing things in real time, we were both talking about, what are the storylines? Tiger's not there, Phil's not there. Um, a lot of people are saying that's the storyline. Come on, guys, let it go. All right, they're not there. Yes, it's a big deal. They're not there, but that's not the storyline. The storyline is, can Rory defend? Hasn't been done since Tiger. What about Scotty Scheffler, who came out burning yesterday? Now it looks like he's at 2 under. He's right there. If the leaders today finish, as long as Scotty Scheffler's within 5 going into Saturday, he's right there. There's so many storylines, and one of them yesterday for us was Freddie Couples, he's 66 now, and the only thing he does on the PGA, USGA is he shows up at the Masters every year, former winner, and somehow he always plays well. He always puts on a showing. Many times he makes the cut. He's there for the weekend. A few years ago, he was actually there on a Sunday, and he mattered for, I think it was up to 9 holes, and then he didn't. And show me the guy that doesn't like Freddie Couples, and I'll show you a guy that doesn't like dogs. It's Freddie Couples. However, and he's in his 41st Masters. He was on the leaderboards when we were talking about. He was 2 under. He was technically right in the mix, and then along came the third easiest hole at Augusta, the 15th. Quadruple bogey 9 for Freddie. And then on the 16th, he rolled it into the water, double bogey. He finished with a 78, and he's done for today, and he is not going to be around for the weekend. He went 2 over today. and he is at 8 over, so he's not going to be around. So, and that's what today for me is about. Who ain't making it, or who's so far out? Because there is a point at which you can go. John Rahm, John Rahm right now wouldn't make the cut. He's at 5 over. Projected cuts at 4 over, and you start to look at things like who's not going to make it. Bryson, we talked about him yesterday. Bryson DeChambeau, he went 5 over yesterday. He's just started. I've got him at 1 over today already, but I don't know if that's still true because that's probably 20 minutes old right now. So that to me today, unless somebody really moves, is what the Masters is about as we watch this all develop.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about making the cut, getting into the weekend, and I always turn it on and watch the last couple of hours on Sunday. At that point, okay, who's left remaining? What 2, 3 golfers? And then I watch it from that point in.
And some of us, like me, that's how I watch regular season basketball. If it's a game that I'm really interested in, I really kind of tune in when I know it's the last 5 minutes. I don't mean 5 minutes. And I mean 5 minutes on the clock, which means like 20, 30 minutes left in NBA time. Because a lot of it, unless I'm really looking for something, like the other night when Cunningham came back for the Pistons, I wanted to see how he looked. It collapsed along and all that. So if there's a reason for me to watch something, I will. Otherwise, I kind of tune in at the end. So I get that. I get people. So for me, the 4 majors almost always are a start to finish thing on a Sunday, which is why the British Open is one of my favorites to watch because of my sleep schedule. Because it starts technically it starts at 1 in the morning Pacific time. It doesn't really start until 4. 1 in the morning is it's not going to matter, but it's on whenever I wake up. But it starts at 4 and it ends at 10. So I love watching it. But for the majors, I'm going to watch the whole thing because a lot of people hear me say, you don't really watch all of a basketball game, and not during the regular season, no. And so I can relate to that. Postseason, yeah, because I think that I learn a lot more by watching it and things like that. And the other thing about not only who makes it for the weekend, when you get into majors like the Masters, is, well, who's going to make it but really doesn't? Really, they'd have to move a lot tomorrow. Now, you got to see where they fit. I mean, Adam Scott, he's going to make the cut. He's a perennial major winner, but he's at 2 over. So where is the leaderboard tomorrow? If the leaderboard is at 8 under, and he still made the cut because they need a minimum, that's a long road to hoe. And so I start looking at those kind of things. Tommy Fleetwood, he's at 1 under, which puts him well back right now because he's put like 16th, but he can make a move. So those are the kind of things that I watch, and we'll just keep an eye on it. As I said, it's still Rory tied at the top with this guy Tyrrell Hatton. And nobody else is at 5 under. So we'll see what happens at Augusta throughout the day and keep you updated. The NFL, as we know and we've talked about, and if you're a Niner fan, they're going to play their first ever regular season game in Australia this year. Wednesday is going to be the season opener. Seahawks, we don't know who yet. We should know in, about a month? Yeah, middle of May is when they release the actual schedule. Super Bowl winner will host, but it'll be Wednesday night football on NBC, and then Thursday night is the game from Australia, the Rams and the Niners. And today, Commissioner Roger Goodell made it clear the NFL will be back. Quote, "There's no question that we're going to be playing here again. Our view is that we're coming here for the long term," end quote. There's more to this quote I want to continue with, but again, we like to share our biases, and Steve and I are not fans of this international play. And credit finally to, in this case, Pro Football Talk, for the media reporting this ain't working. It's not the world is not, and I don't know what ego, because it's usually money. The world is not wrapping its heads around this. The NFL has been playing regular season games in London for 20 years. They're still struggling to get traction in London. Steve, you and I have both heard stories from different sources about how they actually fill the stands. Where it's almost like, hey, handing tickets out at the front. Yeah, you want to go? And here you go. Just go fill the stands. Last year, week 1, Chiefs Chargers, 2 real teams. They were in Brazil. It was streamed globally, no cost, by YouTube. An international audience of 1.2 million people watched.
Throughout the whole rest of the world, 1.2 million.
Take a moment to drink that in. The U.S. population is about 350 million, give or take. The rest of the world's almost 8 billion people at this point, which means 0.015% of the rest of the planet watch that game. They don't care. They don't care.
And how many of that 1.2 million were U.S. citizens or whatever that were living overseas? So we may not really have gone outside of the country.
No, and it was streamed exclusively for free on YouTube, meaning, because the first thing I think of when you bring that up is armed forces. They weren't watching it on the Armed Forces Network, they were watching it on YouTube. So it could have been like dozens of international people that watched game one between the Chiefs and the Chargers last year.
Yeah, it's just not there. One of my complaints, in addition to, as a friend of mine said, it's like the circus coming to town, is how they view it overseas. But how many times do we see the fields are not at NFL levels? We see it on pretty much every single game. The players are not happy because it's an inconvenience. They're going overseas, travel schedule, press conferences, and then they get to the field and the field's not even NFL quality fields. And then you have that, well, what if the player gets injured early on, a serious injury playing on subpar fields? I just, there's so many things about these I don't like. The only reason we're playing it, we all know this, and the NFL and everyone does, is the money. There's no other reason for any of these games outside of money to be played.
Where are they getting money? I'm trying to. Honestly, I'm trying to figure out where the money's coming from. If no one is watching outside of America, which they already have that audience, and they're not selling these games out, they're selling tickets, but not all the way out. Where is the money for the NFL?
I'm not sure. And the part that they don't talk that much about is, I guess, teams have claimed certain areas, countries, overseas, as that is their fan base. And maybe it goes to that with merchandise sale. But on occasion, you'll see an article and it'll be, like I believe England is with Jacksonville. You get into, say, Germany backs these two or three teams. So they have assigned teams to different countries, from my understanding, like all over the world, which shouldn't you just let the population pick who they want to cheer for? Sorry, you have to be a Cleveland Browns fan. That's the team that's assigned to your country. So when they do go overseas, they tend to put those teams in those areas, and then that's the team you get to see.
Yeah, and look, like I've said before, I'm a capitalist. I'm all for expansion and making money, but I also I sometimes I step back and go, look, um, soccer is the world's sport, and America doesn't care. Fine, let's leave it there. Baseball is a world sport. Baseball is the legitimate sport of the world, really. We call it America's pastime. It's enormous in Japan. It's enormous in all of Latin America. That is truly a sport played and loved and watched around the world. Why can't the NFL? I mean, other than that's why I referenced ego before. They can make plenty of money in America. Why can't they just embrace? All right, we're the world soccer, like soccer is to America or whatever. That's what always. By the way, I love that your friend used the word circus, because the rest of the Roger Goodell quote, obviously your friend's not the only one saying it. You see people do this now and then where they respond to a straw man. Like, nobody said that, but we're going to, in the room, but we're going to respond to it. Trump does this all the time because he hears something and he wants to bring it up and he wants to answer it. Roger Goodell, he wasn't responding to a question. Nobody said this to him. He said, our view is that we're coming here for the long term, here being Australia. That's where I stopped. His next sentence was, we don't come as a one-off. This isn't a circus. But it is, right? The circus comes once per year to town, and it is a circus, and that's what he is selling. It is a circus. Your friend is right. Roger Goodell is wrong. They don't just play it under the big tent. All right, remember the name Travis Hunter? He was the second overall pick in the 2025 draft. And there was a lot of talk at the time that the Jaguars would be getting two players in one. Remind me, Steve, where you were on the idea of Travis, because he got hurt, as it turns out. Didn't have much of a season to show for, of Travis playing both sides of the ball like he did through college.
I was fine with it, but for me, and I'm glad to see the Jags moving in that direction. I think he needs to be primarily a cornerback. I think he is a shutdown cornerback. I think he is, could be one of the top in the league. And that's a tough position to fill. I would rather see him doing that full time. And then you use, we saw it with Deion Sanders and some of these other plays. Hey, look, when we need a fourth wide receiver, five wide receiver sets, you put him in there. So he might see, 15, 20 plays, maximum through the course of the game on offense, but you need that shutdown corner.
And he was Travis was very vocal before the draft. I want to play both sides of the ball. And I don't know if maybe you heard, Steve, because I don't know, was the motivation he wanted to be the next Dion, or the next, well, the modern day Shohei in football, or was it just he thought he was great at, but I don't know if he had a motivation or he just thought, hey, I'm good enough to play both sides of the ball, because I'll let you answer to say it's not sustainable. It's football. You're getting hit all the time. And that was my concern, was how much does this shorten this kid's career, because he is immensely talented.
I think it falls into that Shohei. We're watching it happen at the major league level. He is the face of baseball. He is a star. Travis Hunter, where he grades out uh, as an excellent player, both wide receiver and cornerback. I think he's a shutdown cornerback, but I still think he is a really, really good, uh, probably a number two, borderline number one type of wide receiver. So I don't think he's as good as a wide receiver, but I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him play both sides of the ball and be able to sustain it. It's just football's such a physical game, as you said. It's and the stamina of every single play. I mean, we watch these guys playing just defense that need to come out because they're winded and tired, and he wants to go full bore both sides. Hats off to him if he can make it happen. But he's got to prove he is able to handle it, and he has to be productive on both sides of the ball if a team's really going to give him that opportunity.
Well, and of course, a variety of things are at play there. He's in great shape. He's young, so he can, quote, pull it off physically, because he's like, he like all of us, every single one of us, when we're young, 30 and under, 25 and under, wherever you want to put it, we can do anything we want. We have the stamina to do anything we want. And we're not thinking down the road. We're not thinking, hey, I'm 22, 23, whatever he is right now. I can do this no problem. What am I going to look like when I'm 33? And for you to say that you think, and I had kind of the same, he's a strong number two, maybe a weak number one. Teams need that. They need depth at wide receiver one, and that's what makes this a little bit harder. But Jaguars general manager James Gladstone, about Travis's knee that's the way kids talk now. You shorten everything. Instead of saying knee rehab, it's just knee-hab. He'll be limited in the offseason, but he is expected to be fully cleared for training camp. Once he's healthy enough to get back to football activities, his efforts will focus almost exclusively on the defensive side of the ball, cornerback. The team is planning for Hunter to be a full-time cornerback and an occasional contributor on offense as a wide receiver. And then I start to wonder, how often will his contribution as a wide receiver wind up being as a decoy? And will that piss him off? Because he comes on the field and a lot of the defenses are like, well, wait, he's on the field. He's never on the field. Oh, wait, we're going to cover him. And then he doesn't get the ball because you're more exposed as a wide receiver than you are as a cornerback. When you're a cornerback, you're making the hits. When you're a wide receiver, you're taking them. And that's where the damage comes in quicker, long term. And he's already had one injury.
Yes, all of that is part of the appeal, and what makes him so good as a wide receiver in addition is his knowledge and understanding of the defenses. And I mean, anyone who plays in the NFL fully has that. But he is a top cornerback. He knows exactly what that cornerback is going to try to do to knock him off his game, knock him off his route, how he's going to, pick him up. And they say that helps him out tremendously because he is a fantastic route runner with great hands. And he has the speed, obviously, to be a cornerback, which is where he has all of those tools to excel. It just comes down to that injury part.
And part of the difficulty I have with the conversation, you alluded to it earlier this week, is that he's on the Jaguars, and a lot of us are, and you voiced a version of this opinion. We're kind of turning our head sideways and closing our eyes halfway and going, "Where are you at, Trevor Lawrence? Are you are you serious about this? Did you spend the off season studying and getting in shape, or are you more concerned about cars or whatever else?" And so I try to like, oh, does Trevor Lawrence need another weapon? Because I'm on the fence with the Jaguars, and it's specific to Trevor Lawrence at this point. It feels like I'm not sure which direction they're heading anymore.
I think they're heading down. Last year he was motivated. He played. He looked really good for most of the time. At times he had that seemed lackadaisical style and didn't seem that interested. But for the most part, I think he took a couple of years of criticism and he really stepped up. Do I think he's going to build on that and continue to try to be that franchise quarterback that he's being paid for? No, I don't. So I'm hoping Daniel Jones comes back with the Colts and they're really good. I always cheer for CJ Stroud and Salah at the with the not Salah, but with the Texans. I'm hoping that the Titans rebound. So I wouldn't mind seeing the Jags drop in that division down to nothing.
So a couple of notes that kind of so D'Amico Ryans is the head coach of the Texans, and Robert Saleh, head coach of the Titans. They were both with the Niners. I'm going to start with the Niners for selfish reasons. I'm a fan, and because regionally, a lot of our listeners are Niners fans. This is one of those. Are Niner fans supposed to care? Is this a deal? What do they do on ESPN? Big deal, little deal, no deal, whatever. So the Niners have agreed to a 1-year contract with free agent defensive end Cam Sample, depth player for Cincinnati for 4 years, 2021 fourth-round pick out of Tulane. Used as an interior defensive lineman, edge rusher throughout his career, 7 sacks, 85 tackles. Okay, I mean, any help the Niners can get, but I wasn't texting all my friends yesterday that are Niner fans over this. Should I have been?
I think it's a good signing. It's depth. If you're going to expect him to play and start, not going to happen. But, as a rotational player, and this is part of the problem with teams that are good for several years in a row, you lose your depth because everyone wants to get paid. So this is a low end cost. Guy comes in, he gives you some of that depth that you're missing. And I think it was a good signing.
No, and I do agree with that. It wasn't oh my God, I can't believe we got this guy signing. But you and your D word, because you do it with all sports, you are so focused and you make a great case for depth. And it's not just, as we've talked about, the obvious. You really need to have a good functional backup quarterback in the NFL now. But you need depth at all these positions. You were railing on the Sacramento Kings a few years ago. They had no depth. Different sport, same tune. You've got to have depth. And the Niners need it in the edge position for sure, depending on their health, which is, of course, going to be the big question for them anyways. Now, you mentioned the Texans and D'Amico Ryan and C.J. Stroud, and the Texans have exercised the fifth-year option for C.J. Stroud. He's going to make $25.9 million, fully guaranteed. This is that usual precursor to the potential contract extension. Stroud has completed 3 seasons in 2025, making him eligible for the extensions this offseason. Had a great historic rookie season in which he became the 5th first-year quarterback to pass for more than 4,000 yards, and this was that first holy crap moment for us. And he has not reached that ever since. Last season, 19th in passing yards, 22nd in touchdowns, 21st fewest interceptions. They finished with a 9-game winning streak. You and I talked about it. There were times CJ Stroud looked like CJ Stroud. And then there were some really bad moments. I think everybody, what was it, that 5 interception game at the end there, whatever that turned out to be. The question that's being floated around is, because they don't have to decide now, is CJ Stroud the Texans' long-term answer?
I think
And is that what this year's about?
I think that's exactly what this year's about. You got to prove it. 25 million. Hey, look, that's that middle borderline, not the backup quarterback, but your average starting quarterback. The thing with CJ Stroud is, and you know how much we loved his rookie season.
Sure.
CJ Stroud, the last 2 years, has played much more like CJ Stroud I thought was going to be when he hit the NFL level. His rookie season was off the charts to me. He was unbelievable, completing passes, etc. He looked really good this last year in that 5-game winning streak where they were winning. But on the whole, that's where I'm really torn with him because I think he's now playing at the level, which is, he's going to be a good quarterback, but he's not going to be anything more than that. And that's kind of what we've seen the last 2 years. And for me to pay a quarterback, in that $50 million range that we're seeing now, I think you have to show that you are really, really good. And that's part of the problem I have with Brock Purdy. He's getting paid now, but there were so many times when you'd watch it going, okay, he doesn't have all of his assets and his weapons, and he looked mediocre. I mean, do you really want to sink 60 million into a contract that when you have him surrounded by great players, he looks great. But when you start taking a few of those pieces away, he's average at best. And that's where, to me, this is the year CJ Stroud has to prove, is he worth that $300 million contract that he's going to be asking for?
This is what to me has become, especially lately, so fascinating about the NFL is, i- the ability to truly evaluate, and whatever word you want to use, the actual top of the line real quarterbacks, and what are you using as your how you grade them. The word is elite. Okay, well, we can't deny Patrick Mahomes is an elite quarterback. He checks every single box, including Super Bowl championships. And then immediately you start going, Josh Allen, Lamar, are they elite? Because where's their jewelry? And then you start thinking, you go back in your head, you go, Sam Darnold, Jalen Hurts, Eh, and, and it's hard to grade. And you're right, you're spot on with Purdy. It's hard to start grading how many real elite quarterbacks are there, depending on what you're going to use as your metric. Stafford, well, okay, great, but he's got 1 year left, maybe two. But, it's getting harder and harder. And I give credit to the NFL and their parity, and it's working. But it's hard for me to like. I think overall, this is my opinion. I think I'd rather have Josh Allen than Lamar any day, but neither one of them has won anything. Are either of them elite? And you start going through those things because isn't it about winning?
It is about winning, but the winning itself cannot just be pinned on a quarterback. There's a lot of players on that football team. I think Josh Allen is elite. I would put him with Patrick Mahomes. I'm not sure if I put anybody else in that elite category. So I have like two there. And because I can't put Stafford there, he's up there a little bit in age. I think he is really good. And there's a lot of quarterbacks I think are just really, really good. And that'll take you down probably to like 8 or 10. And then I think then you hit that, hey, they're good quarterbacks, but that's where, I don't know. And that's where I would like to see the structured salaries for these quarterbacks because I keep watching quarterbacks and I'm like, Jared Goff's a very good quarterback. Mike Love just never seems to get there. He has great games. You're like, he can make all the throws. He can do everything. Then you have games where you're like, he's average. He misses those throws. He's just not performing at the level. You got to be consistent game in and game out to be elite.
And Jordan Love maybe doesn't fit into this category, but I agree with your assessment of him because there are then those guys that are it's too soon to tell. Bo Nix, Drake May, right away come to mind. No, we can't call them anything yet, but they sure look like they got a lot of potential. Like they could go that direction, but we can't lump them into that, even into the discussion. I would think at this point yet.
Yeah, and you go with potential. Trevor Lawrence has the potential to be elite, as good as there is in the game, and he doesn't even come close to being an elite quarterback. He's mediocre. When you look at him versus like Gardner Minshew going into last year, their stats were almost the same. Gardner Minshew's bouncing around the league as a backup quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is signing contracts for $50 million a season, and stat-wise, they were very close. Although Trevor Lawrence's last year is going to put him ahead of Gardner Minshew, but Lawrence has been living his entire career off of potential and talent, not by production.
Do you see the potential? Last one in becoming an elite quarterback, Caleb Williams,
Yes, I do.
and
I
he's the
do.
one.
He is, but he's got to get there. Daniels with the Commanders. He has a ton of
Too soon.
potential as well. I'm curious on Jackson Dart because everyone feels that he's there, but we haven't seen enough of him to know if he can elevate himself into that category. But Caleb Williams, especially with Ben Johnson there, I thought last year, first year, I was critical of him. But watching last year and everything he did, I mean, how many games the Bears came back to win like 7 games? I think it was late in the fourth quarter. That's can't all be the head coach. That's the quarterback making things happen at the right time and maintaining that control. That's that Kobe Bryant clutch shot. Give me the ball. I'm going to sink it, period.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show, only on the radnetwork.com.
If you go to AdvantageSteam.com, which you should, at the top of the page, you'll see the Services tab. Click on it, and you'll see that Advantage Steam does carpet and upholstery cleaning. They protect fabric and fiber. They clean and seal tile and grout. They polish natural stone. They clean rugs, especially those really nice ones from foreign countries. And they treat urine damage. And not just urine, but vomit and feces. Ew. Yuck. I assume if you need that service, you either have children or pets or you live in a frat house. But either way, they'll take care of you. Of course, Advantage Steam also applies MicroSeal. And if you don't know what that is by now, then you just suck. Joel is the local small business owner of AdvantageSteam.com. He's a lifelong maggot, and he's treated, cleaned, protected, polished, and microsealed the homes of countless members of the RAD team over the years, various RAD studios, and of course, Williams Manor. And I hate admitting this, but he is a genuinely really great, nice guy. In fact, if you tell him I said that, you'll get 0% off all services. So go to AdvantageSteam.com. Click on Make an Appointment, enter in your available dates and any comments, like maybe type, Rob said you're a really great, nice guy. Please give me 0% off. And they will get you all set up. Just go to AdvantageSteam.com. That's AdvantageSteam.com.
Hello, the Rob and Steve Sports Show is many minutes away, right here on the radnetwork.com.
The first time Corey walked into my home, I came around the corner, extended my right hand to shake it, and said to him, "Wow, you're big." And that would be Corey from QuickDumpsters.com. Quick is spelled wrong intentionally. Quick, Q-U-I-K Dumpsters.com. That's QuickDumpsters.com. Corey's yet another maggot launching his own locally owned and operated business, and boy, did I need him, and really we all do. Things pile up, you get frustrated, you keep saying, we need to make a dump run. Pretty soon it's more than a dump run, and now you need to rent a truck or have one of those ugly upside down box cars parked in front of your house that you fill up yourself. Or you do like I did, you call Corey at quickdumpsters.com. In my case, my house had fallen into complete disarray as my late wife Christina had lost her 2-year battle with congestive heart failure, and amongst the many things left were gathering her things and finding what to donate, what had to just go in that pile of stuff where we were both going, why did we ever buy this? And it all could have been so overwhelming had Corey not just walked in, taken charge, and removed dozens of boxes of total junk, unusable dog kennels, desks that were falling apart, a worthless old smoker that couldn't be fixed, bag after bag of crap, and I can't remember what else. He was quick, spelled wrong, Q-U-I-K, quiet and clean. Well, he wasn't clean. I mean, he was. But I'm not commenting on his hygiene. I meant that his work was clean. He swept everything when he was done, and the house looked like he'd never even been there. Corey's the real deal, and I couldn't be more proud and happy to call him a brand new advertiser. His story's incredible, his dedication unmatched, and his motivation to succeed larger than he is, and that's saying something. Quotes are free. You don't even have to have them over to your house. Just send him some pics or videos, and you'll get your price, schedule your day and time, and watch someone else get that junk out of your house. Go to quickdumpsters.com. Quick, Q-U-I-K, dumpsters.com. Quick, Q-U-I-K, dumpsters.com.
This is Sports Talk, how it should be. Rob and Steve do it right. They actually talk sports. Email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
We got this email, ras@the radnetwork.com. It's from Kevin, and it's going to go back to something we talked about yesterday, which will take us down a different road. So I'm just going to give you a quick update on the Masters right now. Rory has pulled away. It was he and Sam Burns at 5 under yesterday. Rory's only through 3, but he's now 7 under in the lead by 2 over Justin Rose, who has leapt up to being 5 under through 16. Sam Burns, the aforementioned, he's only halfway around the course. He's back to 5 under. Terrell Hulton, who was up there, he was in the lead for a while. He's fallen back to 4 under. Wyndham Clark's in the clubhouse at 4 under. Keegan Bradley, John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau are all trying. They're right now above the cut line. A lot of golf left to go at Augusta. So Kevin wrote in about yesterday. We were talking about the NCAA is in the process of figuring out how they're going to limit eligibility. How many years, how many seasons can you play? We got NIL guys who are playing for their 7th season, their 9th season. And these are a lot of times guys who will not play in the NFL. They can't make the NFL. But they can get hundreds of thousands, if not a lot more, through college because they're big and they're experienced and they're basically professional college players. And where does it end? Where does it stop, et cetera? And then, Steve, you even brought up the idea of, depending on what their eligibility is, or could older players in any of these leagues go back and to college and play? And you said that's already started. There's already been a precedent for that.
That has already started. We had a player who played for the Bulls this year, and I believe he went to Baylor and enrolled and was playing with Baylor for the spring semester. And there's another player who came out of the G League, and I believe there was one yesterday who is, and I can't recall the story offhand, but I thought I had another one yesterday where a player is going to go back to college and go play.
Now Kevin wrote in, and he at the end he says, "I know it would never happen, but." It might not happen in his specific example, but it's an interesting thing based on that theory. He says, speaking of athletes going back to college, like say from the NBA, LeBron James never went to college. So if he retires, is he eligible to go try and win a college championship? I know schools would pay any amount to have him play. Maybe he could even coordinate to play with his other son in college. And then he says, I know it would never happen. Well, I mean, that is an interesting scenario. It is kind of probably out there with LeBron, who doesn't need any money for the rest of his life, and neither do his kids. But the idea of, if you're a name of some kind, Chris Paul never won anything really in the NBA. Can he go back? I don't know what his eligibility is in college. I mean, how ridiculous could this get? And it looks like they're gonna have. That's what they're working on. But you would, if you have if you have any eligibility left, they could keep going back, and you get bigger names doing it because of the NIL.
Yes, and I love that email. I would love to see LeBron go play college, but that's what we're talking about. He never played college. He still has 4 years remaining. Does he go suit up at Kentucky and say, here we go. Let's go win a championship with Kentucky. You're going to pay me $5 million a year. I know I don't need the money, but let's see what we can do, because I need to improve my greatest of all time. Now, if I can show I can win championships at the college level in my 40s, along with everything I did in the NBA, maybe that will be the tipping point towards the Michael Jordan comparison.
Yesterday during our show, we got a word that 76ers star center Joel Embiid underwent emergency surgery in Houston after being diagnosed with appendicitis. It hadn't burst, but that's why they did the emergency surgery, was to stop it. Surgery was completed. He felt fine in practice on Wednesday, but his condition changed overnight, and it was about 90 minutes of surgery that ended right before the start of Thursday's game, and it's unclear when Embiid could return to the court. Of course, the Joel Embiid story, 38 games this season. A year ago, 19 ineffective games. The Sixers have games tonight. They play Indiana. They play Sunday against Milwaukee. I love how this is phrased. I'm reading from an ESPN recap story. It says, two teams firmly focused on improving their draft lottery position. Tanking is the word. And firmly focused on it. So the idea is the Sixers, they've got some games coming up. They're going to wind up probably in the play-in tournament. And then you start Embiid's uncertain status moving forward. Embiid's done in general with the 76ers. He's not going to play this year, right? And the Sixers aren't going anywhere, even in the play-in.
No, the Sixers aren't going anywhere. And I've always been asking, why do they allow the play-in teams to be part of the lottery process? It should be the teams that don't make anything. Make it the bottom 10 teams. That's it. But then we'd even see more tanking, because the play-in games, they would even be trying to lose those games, because it's that, look, if we don't make the top 8, we're out.
Also, Jason Tatum, superstar Celtics forward, last night back at Madison Square Garden, and he said that was the lowest point of his life 11 months ago when he tore his Achilles. He finished with 24 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists in 40 minutes. Boston lost, and Jason Tatum's the one that everybody's talking about. This goes back to a conversation you and I had yesterday, Steve. I was watching part of this last night, and I was thinking, wait a minute, I know it's okay. Yes, it's a regular season game. And it probably doesn't mean anything to the Celtics that they lost. Are we sure it doesn't mean anything to the Knicks as they head in to the playoffs, to where depending on how they finish the rest of the season, they're like, hey, we can take care of the Celtics. Athletes' minds work like that. I'm not convinced that it was a nothing burger game, which it felt like we were kind of doing that yesterday.
It was nothing for the Celtics. It was something for the Knicks, because they're still trying to hold off the Cavs. They only got a 1-game lead over Cleveland, want to hold on to that number 3 slot. And any win like this is where I was so interested in seeing how the Celtics Hornets game a few days back was going to be, because that Hornets is that dangerous team nobody wants to play in the playoffs. And do the Celtics just shut them down to say, look, we're still the kings of the East. I know you're getting a lot of hype the last several months. And that's what we saw. We saw the Celtics just shut the Hornets down. So those people like myself that have been saying, this could be a dangerous team, I'd like to see where they could go. You watch that, and it just backed up my belief. The Celtics are the best team out of the East.
Yeah, okay. But don't the Knicks walk off? Yeah, they got something to play for. I get it.
Yes.
In the real time, but don't they also walk off thinking, when we face them in the postseason, we've just shown we can beat them. They feel better, right? I mean, that to them matters. Yeah.
It's a great confidence builder going into the playoffs.
Now, tonight, NBA, couple of games that catch your eye when you're looking at the schedule. Your Detroit Pistons are at Charlotte. You've been talking about how good Charlotte's been playing, and are they the team that nobody wants to play when we get to the playoffs? And what's Detroit going to look like? So I looked at that game, and I saw, OKC is at Denver, and so much for me, like some of these matchups, like I'm not really interested in, who's playing for what. These are good. Nobody's talking about anything except for 2 games tonight. social media, sports media, and they're talking about the two games between two teams that are tanking. And it continues that conversation of how bad this is for the NBA. You got the Mavs, I'm sorry, not the Mavs. You've got Memphis and the Jazz that are playing tonight. And they're in Utah. Memphis is 25 and 55. Utah's 21 and 55. Memphis has lost 6 in a row. The Jazz have dropped 10 in a row. And people are talking about it being the tank game. And the other one, Brooklyn and Milwaukee face off against each other. They're both eliminated. Milwaukee's trying to tank as best they can. They're nowhere near Brooklyn with only 20 wins, and Milwaukee's at 31. This is what everyone's yapping about, and it's not what we should be talking about in the last week of the NBA season.
No, and the Jazz against the Grizzlies, the Jazz are sitting at 21 wins. So are the Kings. I mean, if you're going to be talking the Jazz and where they're going to be at there, you got to include, the Kings in this conversation. But the Kings seem to be doing it wrong. I mean, they got accused of tanking. They went out, they showed the coach didn't realize he didn't have a timeout or, a foul to give. They went to the free throw line. Luckily, the NBA cleared them, but your coach doesn't even know what's going on there. And the Kings have been playing good, much better than some of these tanking teams. They're at least 3-7 in their last 10, not 0-10 like the Jazz.
And the Kings have the Warriors at home. And I mean, if it comes just right down to, I mean, the lowest win totals, the Wizards at 17 and the Pacers at 19. And Adam Silver, as we discussed earlier, he says he wants something in place by June 1st so that it can affect the draft and everything else. But you and I have not heard yet what you can do to ultimately stop tanking that's realistic or that might be done. I just think it's like this like I say, it's not just sports media, it's all social media. This is like the second story this morning on one of the ESPN morning shows called Get Up. With everything else going on in sports, this was the story was that we're looking at Tank Gate. Some were looking at it for the reasons we're talking about. This is awful for the NBA, and others are saying this is a reason to I don't know, watch or figure out who's, can you watch and figure out who's intentionally playing worse and all this other crap. And that's my problem with it is it's not why we play sports. Back to the who's really an elite quarterback thing. You play to win. Yes, with the quarterback thing there's intangibles. This is the opposite. People argue you tank in order to win later. There's only a couple examples of that in modern times where that works out. Ask a Washington Wizards fan how that's working out for them.
And the thing about it is, and I hate to keep going here, but we look at hockey, they have their teams, all these games at the end of the season, the last week, 2 weeks, they all matter. The NBA, there's only been a few games that have mattered. I mean, we got a full slate today. And I think at least half the games are double-digit favorites rolling into that last week. You have the Jazz who've lost 10 in a row, are a 3.5-point favorite over the Memphis Grizzlies because neither team wants to win this game. They talk about integrity, but yet they don't do anything. When you have NBA stars saying they want to play, the teams won't let them. The NBA, to me, has a serious problem. They play the same amount of games as they do in the NHL with 82 games, but yet you never hear this in the NHL. And I know there's differences. There's a much bigger home ice advantage in the NHL than there is in the other sports. But you got to believe the NBA should look at the NHL to try to figure out how to make some of these games competitive late on. I don't think they have a solution. I don't think there's a solution out there. We talked about yesterday, I think, or one of these days, where I think the bottom four should determine it, and then they play a play-in tournament at the end. It gives you excitement at the end of the season because the team that wins that, it's not about tanking at that point. You put the 4 teams in it. The team that wins it gets the number 1 overall pick. So you actually have a little playoff from the worst teams that brings fans in. Hey, look, I'm cheering for my team for the first time all season long because I actually want the first pick. and you allow them to do something like that. It brings some TV interest, brings some fan interest. And I don't even think that would work. But I think that, which nobody's talked about but me, is the only way to try to bring something to help prevent against the tanking like we see.
Have you seen, Steve? I was just goofing around trying to get any official word. Have they officially cleared Wembenyama to play tonight, which was
Last
always what you said from the beginning?
last I saw, he was probable. And the interesting part is, because I was checking out the injury list, is like all the Mavs big guys are out. They're not playing. I mean, you got Washington who's out, Gafford who's out. All their big guys are going to be out. So let's see what Wembayana can put up in 25 minutes of play tonight, qualify, put up huge numbers, and see if he can help his MVP case.
Yeah, he needs 20 minutes minimum. Then he's qualified for the postseason award. And then the Spurs play Sunday in.
Rob will be right back after this commercial break.
It's that time of the year again, spring cleaning time. Much like New Year's resolutions, spring cleaning is something we swear we're going to get to and then we never follow through on. And one of the reasons is how overwhelming it can be. You start to clean up, and then pretty soon you realize you have way more trash than you can just throw into your bins and put at the curb for the garbage company. You have enough junk that you need to make a half dozen trips to the dump, and then you go, oh, we don't even own a truck. Nor do you have the time or the energy, so you just say screw it again and no spring cleaning. So this year, call my man Corey from QuickDumpsters.com. Quick is spelled wrong on purpose. It makes him stand out. Plus, it makes you think of chocolate milk. QUIK Dumpsters.com. Quick Dumpsters, QUIK Dumpsters.com is their website. Corey and his team came to my house recently, hauled away dozens of boxes filled with just stone cold trash, unusable and worthless old vacuum cleaners, appliances that couldn't be fixed, and just random crap from around the house. QuickDumpsters.com. Quick is QUIK. We're in and out of my place in less than 30 minutes. They checked in with me multiple times to make sure they were taking the right stuff. They were friendly, kind, professional, and finished off the job by making the house cleaner than when they started. And this may be the best part. Quotes are free, and you don't even have to have them over to your house where you get the little sales pitch and all that. Just send them some pics or videos. You get your price, schedule your day and time, and you watch someone else get that junk out of your house. Basically, you have no excuses other than your own laziness. Go to QuickDumpsters.com. That's QUIK. Dumpsters. QuickDumpsters.com. Quick. QUIK Dumpsters.com. If you go to AdvantageSteam.com, which you should, at the top of the page, you'll see the Services tab. Click on it, and you'll see that Advantage Steam does carpet and upholstery cleaning. They protect fabric and fiber. They clean and seal tile and grout. They polish natural stone. They clean rugs, especially those really nice ones from foreign countries. And they treat urine damage. And not just urine, but vomit and feces. No. Yuck. I assume if you need that service, you either have children or pets or you live in a frat house. But either way, they'll take care of you. Of course, Advantage Steam also applies MicroSeal. And if you don't know what that is by now, then you just suck. Joel is the local small business owner of AdvantageSteam.com. He's a lifelong maggot, and he's treated, cleaned, protected, polished, and micro-sealed the homes of countless members of the RAD team over the years, various RAD studios, and of course, Williams Manor. And I hate admitting this, but he is a genuinely really great, nice guy. In fact, if you tell him I said that, you'll get 0% off all services. So go to AdvantageSteam.com. Click on Make an Appointment, enter in your available dates and any comments, like maybe type, Rob said you're a really great, nice guy. Please give me 0% off. And they will get you all set up. Just go to AdvantageSteam.com. That's AdvantageSteam.com.
At the Rob and Steve Sports Show, we only support responsible sports betting and gambling. With that said, according to Rob's favorite Chinese restaurant, your lucky numbers today are 12, 14, 17, 20, 28, and 36. Good luck. Email us your results at ras@theradnetwork.com.
If you've never heard of microseal, let me tell you what it isn't. It is not a really small marine mammal. Get it? A microseal? Oh, fine. Just ask AI. AI describes microseal this way, with a bunch of AI words. Microseal is a premium, eco-friendly, and biodegradable fabric protection spray that penetrates deep into fibers to provide permanent stain, soil, and sun fade resistance for rugs, furniture, and delicate fabrics. It uses nanotechno blah blah blah, and blah 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 blah. What AI is trying to say is that microseal is non-toxic, non-allergenic, safe for pets and children, and, although AI doesn't say this, it should, you need to contact a longtime maggot Joel from AdvantageSteam.com right now to get him to apply microseal for you. You can even make appointments online at AdvantageSteam.com. We've had microseal for years at Williams Manor, and it treats a lot more than carpets. Microseal protects virtually all fibrous materials, including wool, cotton, silk, suede, leather, and synthetic fabrics. It protects upholstery, carpets, rugs, draperies, and clothing, including wedding dresses. And ladies, you're going to need what? 3 or 4 of those in your lifetime. And it protects against stains, moisture, and UV degradation without changing the texture. Also, if you're an interior designer, Joel has a special program just for you, and all you have to do is say the password, which is what? What? There's no password, I guess. Never mind. Whoever you are, contact Joel at AdvantageSteam.com. And if you're an interior designer, tell him, I guess. I don't know. That's AdvantageSteam.com, where you'll learn more about microseal and everything else that Joel offers. At AdvantageSteam.com. That's AdvantageSteam.com. AdvantageSteam.com.
If the daily episodes of America's Radcast leave you thinking, I want more of Rob ranting about stupid people, government overreach, and how the body positivity movement has led fatties to being proud of their cholesterol levels being above those of a sloth who thinks rolling over while sleeping is a form of exercise, then we've got just the thing for you. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, stick around right after America's Radcast and enjoy Rob's Soapbox. You can listen to the absurdity, passion in his voice, and you can watch to see when that vein on his left temple tries to run and make a break for it. Rob's Soapbox. It's for people who know they're right, but need someone to tell them why. Listen or watch every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning right after America's Radcast. Only at the Rad...
There?
I am here.
So funny. Every time a little glitch occurs, my mom has the same reaction. She's always afraid that my dog Sarge has walked into the studio and has like bitten something or chewed through something or whatever. Has not ever been the case. So my apologies. We just dipped out of there out of nowhere. And we were talking about we're winding down the NBA coverage. We were talking about Wemby, and you said he's listed as probable for tonight or possible for tonight's game.
Yes, he is currently listed as probable for tonight's game.
And so he goes out tonight. He gets his 20 minutes. He qualifies for the postseason awards. And then I was segueing over to, because I don't know how much anybody heard, that the Spurs play Sunday. They host Denver. It's my understanding, Steve, let me know if I'm missing something, is the game is absolutely meaningless for the Spurs. Denver, meanwhile, they're sitting in that third spot. They're a game ahead of the Lakers and the Rockets. So Denver might care on Sunday, but probably likely, wouldn't it be that Wemby does not play on Sunday?
I don't think he's going to play Sunday because the game is meaningless for the Spurs.
And then Denver has whatever. We don't even know yet, what exactly, if anything, they have to play for. While the Lakers have to deal with Phoenix still and figure out what kind of free fall they might be in. The Rockets are trying to figure out where they're going to land. They've won 8 in a row. Are the Rockets in that realm with you with Charlotte of maybe this is a team we don't want to play in postseason?
Nah, the Rockets are good. I just don't think they're quite where everybody expected them to be in the beginning of the season.
The other ones that jumped out at me on Sunday, since we won't be back until Monday, Atlanta, Miami on Sunday, because there's still that we're trying to figure out who's going to be the play-in, who's going to have the 6th spot. We know that Miami's in, the 10 are in. Miami can't do much, but they could play spoiler for the Hawks, which would allow either the Magic or the Sixers, depending on how it goes, to bump into that 6th spot.
Yes. I think the Hawks are the better tier here. They do have that. The Sixers, they're not going anywhere without Joel Embiid.
So we talked about last one. We talked about the Knicks. They beat the Celtics. And it gives the Knicks at least the, hey, okay, we can beat the Celtics momentum as they head into the postseason kind of thing. On Sunday, they host those damn pesky Charlotte Hornets that everyone is paying attention to besides you that are really hot. And so there's another one. Wouldn't that be an interesting up, down for the Knicks? They beat the Celtics, but then they lose to the Hornets at the Garden. That could be really interesting.
And I think that's going to be a really interesting game. The Knicks are trying to hold off the Cavaliers for that third seed in the East. The Hornets, I don't think they can get out of the play-in. But if they can play their way up to that 7-8 game, which all you got to do is win that game in the playoffs, as opposed to if you lose that game, now you got to beat the winner in the 9-10 game.
Not much new from the Masters. It was Rory and Burns were at 5 under yesterday. Rory was at one point, he was 8 under. Everybody's on the course now, or they're done. Rory was at 8 under. He just bogeyed 4 or 5, just bogeyed 5. He's down to 7 under. Justin Rose is at 5 under, as is Burns, and then a ton of people are at 4 under. We got this email into ras@theradnetwork.com. And it's from Tommy. It goes back to, we were talking yesterday again about, I know why we were. We'll get to that in a moment. We were talking about pitch counts and analytics and such in the game and the time of the year and who's relying on their eyeballs and who's relying on their analytic guys and the general manager. Tommy says, I love your guys' show. Good thoughts, good opinions. I'm in my 30s. I played baseball in college. I agree with you guys. The pitch count and the innings count is terrible. I'd want to pitch every day until I couldn't go or I was giving up hits and runs. If the guy's having one of those days pitching great, why pull him out? Let him throw 150 pitches in 9 innings, save the other pitchers for when they're really needed. This came up because of the A's-Yankees game, which was going on while we were doing the show yesterday, Steve. And Jeffrey Springs had his no-hitter through, 6, and he had only thrown 73 pitches or whatever, and we started talking about how long do you let him go, and the pitch count and watch it. Ultimately, the A's did win that game 1-0 between Springs and the bullpen. They 1 hit the Yankees, and got away with the win there. But that is what we were debating. And of course, a pitcher writes in who says, "I'd want to go every day because that's how we're all built. No matter what position you play, we're like, I want to play, I want to pitch, I can go, coach." Um, we can't go that extreme. I don't think 150 pitches is also realistic at this point. But I think, look, it's irrelevant because Springs gave up that hit, what, in the bottom of the seventh, I think, right? At that point, whatever. Um, it's not it doesn't become a pitch count thing. But had he gotten through that inning, then you start to go, well, why not let him throw 100? Let him try to keep his no hitter.
I would let him keep his no hitter. I wouldn't even be pulling him out as long as he wanted to go and he still had it intact. Let him go. He's a marginal player. This is his opportunity to get in the Hall of Fame. If he throws a no hitter, his name goes into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Very few people can really say that. Of all the players that play, there's not that many that get to say that. Let it happen. The A's aren't winning the World Series anyway. So if Jeffrey Springs blows his arm out, gets his no hitter, throws 150 pitches, goes down, he's not going to be the difference maker on the A's making the playoffs or not. Give him that time in the spotlight. Very few players ever have it. And I would let him go as long as he wanted to go.
Yeah, and in the end, it didn't matter because he gave up the hit and we didn't need. But we're going to have this conversation multiple times this year. We always do now. The last 5 years, it comes up as to whether or not you should let them go. When do you pull them out? If you do pull them out, and is it justified and things like that? Because this is the era we live in of this pitch count and analytic and all that other stuff of trying to figure out whether or not. And I think with very, very rare exception, I'm with you. Always let the guy keep going until he gives up a hit. Just let him go. For all
my exceptions, the Tyrek Skubal, the Paul Skeens first outing of the season, their arm isn't there, but you like to believe he's going to have more opportunity down the road. And he is your franchise pitcher. Those are my exceptions. But outside of that, let him go.
We've been talking about injuries just in general in Major League Baseball and how they do happen. More often they are happening exponentially in the last 10 years early in the season, but it is common and we're getting some big names. Those a lot of times they're injuries, like Juan Soto, you strain, or you're running base to base, things like that. Tigers center fielder Parker Meadows went to the hospital overnight after he collided head to head with Riley Green. They were converging on a fly ball. Hey, Green made the catch. Good job. Meadows landed on his back, barely moved. He had blood on his face. Took a couple minutes before he could sit up, and then he was carted off. By the way, the reason for the blood, according to manager A.J. Hinch, was that he bit the inside of his mouth. That led to the bleeding. A.J. Hinch said after the game, this is ominous. A.J. Hinch said after the game that he had a concussion, so immediately they went to, okay, he's got a concussion. And he went on to say, quote, "We're going to get him checked out for everything, but this one worries me." Okay, head-to-head contact.
I wonder what that is. And if I'm correct, and I thought I was reading up on this last night, they kept him in the hospital overnight for observations. Yep. So they did not release him as you would have figured, hey, look, let's let him out here. He's been here for 4 or 5 hours. They kept him overnight.
Well, and that would track without knowing what else might have happened. The severity of the concussion would keep you there. I've had a few in my life. It probably shows. And they start to get worried about we don't, especially were they in Detroit for this game, or were they on the? No, they were in Minnesota for the game. So it's not like we can send you home. We're gonna have teammates, do that whole wake you up every 2-hour thing. But the thing about concussions is, in any sport, this comes up more with football, the lingering effects of them and how long they can rattle your brain. And that's if it's only quote a concussion. Is there something else going on with them? Did you see the play? Because I watched it a few times. Did you see it?
I did not see the play. I was just reading about it though.
So, it's for baseball. It's a brutal play. It is head-to-head contact and all that other stuff. The thing that I've noticed more and more in the last couple seasons, whatever happened to I got it, and somebody having control over, like it used to always be, there was somebody you deferred to. If you're in the outfield, you deferred to the center fielder. If the center fielder says they got it, you get the hell out of his way. When it's one of those in between plays, it's the same thing. If an outfielder is coming in and the second baseman or shortstop's going out, if the outfielder says they got it, you defer. This doesn't seem to be occurring anymore. I don't even know if they're calling for the ball. And I'm not blaming that on this as a terrible injury, but I do see this more and more as I watch.
Which is crazy. We learned this in Little League. I mean, this was part of what, when I'm 8 years old, the coach is telling me who takes control of these situations. As you said, the outfielder, the center fielder is the number one person out there. You know, the infielders can call it, but when an outfielder comes in, they rule that infielder off. You peel off, you bail, you circle out of the way so you don't interfere. I always find it interesting how this is one of the first things you learn about baseball, that and bunting. And we don't see them bunt. None of the MLB hitters anymore seem to know how to bunt either. There are a few that are really good at it. But, you know, watching Rod Carew, watching these players, they made a living out of infield bunts and being able to place that ball down. I mean, Rod Carew would get like 40 infield singles a year. And now runner on third or runner on second, you know, to start these extra innings with the runner starting there. And they can't even bunt them over. It is crazy how the fundamentals of the game have disappeared.
There it is. There's the old man F word that guys like you and I roll out, the fundamentals of the game. And in the case of the outfielders in particular, or the calling the ball, that's a fundamental that is a player safety issue, and also making sure the ball doesn't drop between four players because all of you are calling and nobody's deferring. That one to me is like, duh, no brainer. The bunting thing, everybody, I don't know why everybody doesn't know how to bunt. Yes, there were guys that can and should or do make a living off of it, but it's a fundamental part of the game. If they want to phase that out because the game's changing, well, there's nothing I can do about that. But the other one too is, and this is none of these things. This is an old man thing. I was watching the A's game the other day, and Severino was pitching. You know, their trip to the promised land, Luis Severino, and there was a pop up on the infield. Now, I was a pitcher all the way through high school. This is very simple. The pitcher is the last guy that's going to catch. The pitcher does not catch that ball, no matter where it is. The pitcher, you get out of the damn way, actually, is what I was taught. And in fact, you should be able to, and I don't remember the situation, if there was anybody on base or whatever, but if there's anyone on base, you as the pitcher figure out who are the fielders that are going after this ball, and I'm going to go cover, kind of thing. You're nowhere near the ball. The catcher, depending on where the ball is, the catcher is usually the one that makes the call, but if it's past the mound, it might be one of the infielders, whatever. But Severino called them all off and caught it. And it drives me nuts. And this is an old man thing. I get it. This is, I'm out of my element here. It was celebrated by the A's announcers. Yeah, he's not going to let anybody else take his out away from him. That drives me nuts. And I admit it. I'm old. What do you care, Rob? He caught the ball. You shouldn't. I do care, because I think it can lead to another fundamental problem down the way that's going to be much more of a problem.
And the pitcher's on a hill. I mean, you got the pitch and rubber there too. And we've seen guys trip, fall, whatever it is. Just, I'm with you. That was a basic fundamental of the game. Is the pitcher's the last person. Just get out of the way, let somebody else take it.
Friday, we start most of our series for the weekends for Major League Baseball. And as you just look through, this is an interesting matchup that we start tonight in Seattle. You got the Mariners just floundering, having lost 5 in a row. Meanwhile, the Astros floundering. They've lost 4 in a row. And Houston is at Seattle. And those were the two teams that everybody said, there's your American League West to watch out. Rangers, we'll see. Right now, the Rangers, and again, there's only 3 games separating the Rangers and the Mariners. The Mariners are in last place by themselves, a game behind the A's at this point. But both of these teams are just not there yet, and they get to face off for the weekend in Seattle.
Yeah, hopefully the weather is going to be a little bit warmer, not storms rolling in and it's cold, but neither team has any offense so far this season at all. Both teams pitching has been pretty good, but man, they're just not hitting.
The A's stay in New York. They're just going to go play the Mets for the weekend. But speaking of New York, and it's early, it's super early, we get that. But the Yankees will be playing Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is 3 games behind the Yankees in that American League East. Yankees have lost 2 in a row, which is what everybody below them needs to see. They all want to see, don't pull away from us. And now the Rays have a chance to at least try to stop that, even if they just take one of the 3, just to slow down the Yankees, who are already slowed down with their 2 losses.
Yeah, McClanahan was supposed to go tonight, but he's been out on paternity leave. He's going to go to tomorrow. So Steven Matz is there. On the Yankees side, I don't know if you've seen Schlittler. This kid is really good. He is a stud for this Yankees team, which I keep talking about it when Rondon comes back, when Garrett Cole comes back. These teams like the Red Sox got to find a way to stay close because Schlittler looks like a legitimate ace, and he's sitting at like 4 in this rotation. Heel here a couple of years ago had a great breakout season with the Yankees. He was hurt last year. The Yankees have more pitching than I want to admit.
And right now, Schlittler, I got to get that name right, is slated to go Sunday. Fried is supposed to go tomorrow. I mean, these names that the Yankees throw out, you're right. This is quite the rotation. The Giants are in Baltimore for the weekend, and if you cared about, okay, we're 13 games into the season, we're actually going to look at win-loss records and such, I suppose the series to watch is the Guardians are 8-5, and they're playing the Braves, who are 8-5 in Atlanta. And there would be your marquee matchup if you had to create one for this early in the season.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were down on both of these teams. Everyone pretty much handed the Tigers that division and said the Tigers division to lose. The Guardians, year in and year out, like the Milwaukee Brewers, always seem to find a way to stay competitive. The Braves, we know they have talent, but they've had so many injuries to their starting rotation. Everyone thought they would fall down and not be able to compete early on. They're sitting at 8-5, as you said. They're playing good baseball, even though several of their starters are out.
By the way, I'm one of those guys that handed that division to the Tigers. I admit it. They're in last place right now. It's a long season. We'll see. It was the starting rotation. I thought, yeah, of course the Tigers are going to win that division, but it's not looking like that. We'll take a break and be back right after this.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
If you've never heard of microseal, let me tell you what it isn't. It is not a really small marine mammal. Get it? A microseal? Oh, fine. Just ask AI. AI describes microseal this way, with a bunch of AI words. Microseal is a premium, eco-friendly, and biodegradable fabric protection spray that penetrates deep into fibers to provide permanent stain, soil, and sun fade resistance for rugs, furniture, and delicate fabrics. It uses nanotechno blah blah blah, and blue 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 blue. What AI is trying to say is that microseal is non-toxic, non-allergenic, safe for pets and children, and, although AI doesn't say this, it should, you need to contact longtime maggot Joel from AdvantageSteam.com right now to get him to apply microseal for you. You can even make appointments online at AdvantageSteam.com. We've had microseal for years at Williams Manor, and it treats a lot more than carpets. Microseal protects virtually all fibrous materials, including wool, cotton, silk, suede, leather, and synthetic fabrics. It protects upholstery, carpets, rugs, draperies, and clothing, including wedding dresses. And ladies, you're going to need what? 3 or 4 of those in your lifetime. And it protects against stains, moisture, and UV degradation without changing the texture. Also, if you're an interior designer, Joel has a special program just for you, and all you have to do is say the password, which is what? What? There's no password, I guess. Never mind. Whoever you are, contact Joel at AdvantageSteam.com. And if you're an interior designer, tell him, I guess. I don't know. That's AdvantageSteam.com, where you'll learn more about microseal and everything else that Joel offers at AdvantageSteam.com. That's AdvantageSteam.com. AdvantageSteam.com. first time Corey walked into my home, I came around the corner, extended my right hand to shake it, and said to him, "Wow, you're big." And that would be Corey from quickdumpsters.com. Quick is spelled wrong intentionally. Quick, Q-U-I-K dumpsters.com. That's quickdumpsters.com. Corey's yet another maggot launching his own locally owned and operated business, and boy, did I need him, and really we all do. Things pile up, you get frustrated, you keep saying, we need to make a dump run. Pretty soon it's more than a dump run, and now you need to rent a truck or have one of those ugly upside down box cars parked in front of your house that you fill up yourself. Or you do like I did, you call Corey at quickdumpsters.com. In my case, my house had fallen into complete disarray as my late wife Christina had lost her 2-year battle with congestive heart failure, and amongst the many things left were gathering her things and finding what to donate and what had to just go in that pile of stuff where we were both going, why did we ever buy this? And it all could have been so overwhelming had Corey not just walked in, taken charge, and removed dozens of boxes of total junk, unusable dog kennels, desks that were falling apart, a worthless old smoker that couldn't be fixed, bag after bag of crap, and I can't remember what else. He was quick, spelled wrong, Q-U-I-K, quiet and clean. Well, he wasn't clean. I mean, he was. But I'm not commenting on his hygiene. I meant that his work was clean. He swept everything when he was done, and the house looked like he'd never even been there. Corey's the real deal, and I couldn't be more proud and happy to call him a brand new advertiser. His story's incredible, his dedication unmatched, and his motivation to succeed larger than he is, and that's saying something. Quotes are free. You don't even have to have them over to your house. Just send him some pics or videos, and you'll get your price, schedule your day and time, and watch someone else get that junk out of your house. Go to quickdumpsters.com. Quick, Q-U-I-K, dumpsters.com. Quick, Q-U-I-K, dumpsters.com.
This is the Rob and Steve Sports Show. Call the show at 888-587-5355 or email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
Quick update on the Masters. It's a weird day if you watch it in real time. This is one of those days where it's like, maybe I'll just check in at the end of the day. So it was Rory and Burns after yesterday at 5 under. Some people are making moves, including Rory, although he just hit it in the bunker on 7. Rory's at 7 under. He's in the lead on his own. Then there's a bunch of guys that have shot up to 5 under. Only Justin Rose is in the clubhouse at 5 under for the tournament. Sam Burns, Jason Day, Patrick Reed, all 5 under. They're about halfway through the course. Terrell Hatton and Wyndham Clark are 4 under for the tournament. They're done for the day. And there's just a ton of guys who are 4 and 3 under. And if Rory stays in that 7 under, 6 under, then you've got 20, 30 people legit tomorrow make a move. They're in it. Scotty Scheffler's going the wrong way. Everybody is like under today, but Scheffler is 2 over for the day. He's even. If he finishes the day again, if he finishes 5, 6 back, then he's still in it. On a very weird day for the Rob and Steve Sports Show, my Labrador did not chew my computer cord, but I just went dark for a few minutes. And yes, we know there's a retractable roof in Seattle, and so the rain wouldn't matter. It's just sometimes, these things get caught up in your head, and because there is a storm actually blowing through the entire Pacific and the Pacific Northwest and stuff. And I didn't catch it. I think Steve, one of us made the comment about, the rain coming in when this futility series between the Astros and the Mariners. And I it's like, yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if that'll happen. No, it's not. So.
It's Friday. I got caught up with the Rangers, and I missed that whole segment. And here during that segment, it just started pouring rain. There's like some hail mixed into it, and so I'm hearing the rain hit the roof and the sidewalks and everything, and that kind of had me not scared or anything, but it was like, what the heck is going on outside? So I was a little distracted during that time.
And you bounce. You're in Reno today, right? So you're bouncing around. And right now, and again, this storm's moving through. Right now, things are clear. Well, not clear, but no. I just looked. No rain or hail here at Williams Manor just yet, but who knows? So, okay, it's Friday, as you said, and it's also a no NHL Friday, but boy, is there plenty to talk about. Now, this first thing, Steve, you're the hockey guy. So I'm asking this honestly because I don't know. Because to me, I'm like, well, this is a participation trophy sort of thing. The Colorado Avalanche clinched the NHL's top seed for the postseason. They won 3-1 over Calgary last night. Great. Fourth time Colorado has won the President's Trophy for the best record in hockey. Is this a big deal? I mean, isn't it more of a big? We were just talking about this with baseball when we were talking about the Dodgers. Could they break the Mariners' record of all-time regular season wins? Which the Mariners are the ultimate example. They didn't do anything with it. They went on and lost in the playoffs. So is this something that like hockey players really get into? Yeah, we got the President's Trophy.
I'm not sure the hockey players do. It's an acknowledgement for the best team in hockey during the regular season. The problem with it is there's this curse on it to where these teams don't go on to win the Stanley Cup and get bounced out of the playoffs, sometimes early in the playoffs. So where it is an honor, look, we were the best, but we all know it's about championships. And to have kind of that little curse that says, look, you can win the President's Trophy, but it means you're not going to lift the Stanley Cup. I think I'd rather be lifting the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and again, as a guy who's late to the game in hockey and is enjoying it and is still learning, when I see that, I'm of the mindset of okay, great, that's good. I mean, that's impressive. You were the best regular season team, but if you don't do anything with it, so then that's my old school attitude. But I just don't buy the but we had the best season. So if you're not lifting the cup, if you don't even get to the finals, I don't get it. So that's why I wanted to ask and ask in a legit way as to why it does or doesn't matter. So no games today. Takes a break. NHL does. But there were 14 games yesterday, 15 tomorrow. Here's where we stand. Some of this is going to come down to the final day. In the Atlantic Division, the Sabres are back on top. Not only are the Sabres finally in, what did we say? First time, was it 14 years, 19 years? They're finally back in.
I think it's 14 years.
Okay. They're back on top. They are trailed by the Montreal Canadiens by 2 points and the Tampa Bay Lightning by 4 points. Ultimately, the division winner will play one of the wild cards while the teams in second and third would face the other. So when you look at Sabres on top, Canadiens, Lightning, are you leaning right now in a direction of, okay, here's how I think it's going to land?
I think the playoffs are pretty much set as far as the teams in. The Islanders still have that shot to jump up and, overtake the Flyers. The Flyers, big loss last night to the Red Wings. The Red Wings came out in that second period, the first 5 minutes. I want to say they scored like 3 goals quickly. But the interesting part about the NHL is they don't seed them like the NBA. 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7. They go the 2 division winners, play the 2 wildcard teams, and then it's 2 for 1 division, plays 3 from the other division, like that, which causes a lot of good teams to get bumped out early in the playoffs. We've seen it for years with Toronto as one of the examples of we get there, we get bumped in the first round. And there's been a lot of talk of the NHL that possibly going back to, and I think they did it a while ago, back to the 1 plays 8 because it matches up better for the better teams to advance. But the way it's set up is one of the things I love about hockey because you can advance deep. We've seen 8 seeds that have won the Stanley Cup. You see these things, and it adds excitement. If you get your power play going and you get a hot goalie, you can ride that deep into the playoffs. So I'm kind of happy with the way they have it right now. I'm not looking to see them just 1 through 8.
So let me jump ahead a little bit. The Penguins, they got their ticket to the tourney with a win last night, but they're going to wait to see who joins them as the number 3 seed. And you got the Flyers sitting there. They're 1 point up on the Islanders, as you mentioned. There's a way in there, and 2 up on the Blue Jackets, and 3 up on the Capitals. And are the Capitals in that San Jose Sharks position? Like, guys, you're not going to get. We were just talking about, Ovechkin. He's going to make his decision this summer. Are we at the point they're not mathematically out, but the Capitals, they're just too far behind and not enough runway?
Yeah, too many teams to skip over to get in with not enough games remaining.
Back to the Sabres. The Hurricanes have clinched the number one seed. They're 2 points up on the Sabres in the race to clinch the East's number one overall seed, and that's the thing, right? That Colorado has as well. Where so Colorado has, as long as Colorado's in it, they're at home, or they get the home field advantage. And so that's kind of the twisting and the turning that's going on for a lot of these. But although you do bring up, somebody can back in there and do something to these really good teams if they can find a way to slide in.
Yes, it's just make the playoffs again, where hockey is different. There's that big home ice advantage, and hot goalies, great power plays, advanced teams. I mean, the Oilers for many years kept getting bounced out early. Well, the last couple of years, their power play has been really good. Their penalty kill has been outstanding, which has helped. And they've actually gotten good goaltending. Not saying that that's been the case this year, but that's what we've seen the last couple of years from the Oilers. Get get your penalty kill, your power play, your goalie. That's what advances you in the playoffs.
And we have documented on this show that home field, home anything, has essentially statistically disappeared everywhere except hockey. Home field advantage in football, home field advantage in baseball, home court advantage in basketball, particularly when you get into the postseason, is not holding up the way certainly it used to, and not the way it still matters in the NHL. What's the reasoning behind that? I see, Steve. I would think that like in sports, particularly like football and baseball, where you know the field, you know the angles, there's all of these different things, that it would matter more there, but it's not working out that way.
It never has in hockey. I mean, one of their lower scoring games, you're looking at six is the average total. Uh, 6.5, depending on who's playing. And when you hit the playoffs, you see these totals drop down. I mean, I remember many years ago where we would be hanging 4.5 on totals for playoff games in the NHL. 4.5 goals, that's a power play goal. You know, that could be your difference. And that's where your goalies are so important in hockey. And it depends on that, where you don't see that with some of the other sports.
If you flesh out the West a little bit further, we mentioned the Avalanche. They've got home ice as long as they're in it. We know the number 2 and 3 seeds behind them have been locked in the Central, the Stars and the Wild, and they'll square off in that first round series. We just don't know who the higher seed is going to be. Dallas holds the edge. The Utah Mammoth are in the postseason for the first time in their 2-year for 3-year franchise history, whatever it is. They're the fourth. We knew they were getting in. They clinched last night as the fourth. And their likely first round matchup will be against the Pacific Division champ. Will that be Edmonton? They're clinging to that spot, barely ahead of your resurgent Golden Knights, who can't lose under Tortellini, who's just leading the Knights.
Until last night, they
I
blow
know.
the league last night. Game they never should have lost against Seattle. They found a way to lose. My wife called me up. She was so bummed. She was like, "Oh, the Golden Knights, they blew it. They ended up losing in a shootout." She's like, "I hate shootouts. They shouldn't have shootouts. They should just keep them in that overtime 4-on-4 all the way through in little 5-minute skits until you get a winner." And I explained, look, they don't want to put that much ice time. The beauty is in hockey, there is no shootouts or anything like that. They play till they win. I think the West is pretty much decided where it's at. I'd love to see the Preds get in there. I just don't think they're going to. I think the Kings are going to hold on to that last wild card spot.
Now the Kings are only a point up though on the Preds, and they lose the tiebreaker
Yeah, but
to.
the Kings have one less game. They've only played 78 compared to the 79.
Okay, so it is basically probably done, and not only do we know the Sharks are out, Winnipeg they're done too, even though they're not
Yeah,
mathematically.
Winnipeg and the Sharks, the Blues, the Kraken, they're all gone. They just haven't gotten a little E next to their names in the standings.
Most of them will get that news on Saturday, the way it's going. As Steve said, it's Friday, and so we're going to wrap a little earlier if you're watching and listening live. Have a great weekend. We are back on Monday.
This has been a presentation of the Rob and Steve Sports Show, brought to you by the Rad Network and is copyrighted by the radnetwork.com and Williams Broadcasting for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of whatever Rob and Steve just talked about without the express permission of the Rad Network, Williams Broadcasting, and Rob's Really Mean Lawyers is prohibited.